Greetings, Pisces tribe. Today we are going to talk about astrology as guardianship. Astrology as a guardianship. And I got this phrase from Josh Schrei of the Emerald podcast. There's a particular podcast that I'm referencing that will be linked. And we are a couple of days out from a Gemini full moon that will be discussed as well. So Josh said something in this podcast. This podcast, I truly want everyone on the planet to listen to. It is so important for ever having the unction to become a human being, but especially in our time, because we are so lacking guardianship. We are so lacking spiritual protection. We are so lacking understanding the boundaries of where we each end and another begins. And given the age of the internet, we are truly in dangerous territory without this understanding. And he does such a beautiful job of elucidating that. And I want to bring forward a practicality in regards to, so I finished that episode, that podcast, his podcast. I mean, you're just gonna thank me forever if you've never listened to this man's work. You really just stop this now and go listen to that podcast. But you get to the end of it and then you go, okay, great. So how do I do that? Because we are Americans and we have not been taught as a whole. The modern culture has not been taught how to honor the spirits, how to honor the spirit world, how to connect with the spirits of the land, how to interact with and engage with our own guardians and protectors, how to call on guardians and protectors to come to our aid. And he makes this comment in the podcast. He says, knowing which way is north is a guardianship. And this is in a part where he's talking about all of these different ways of grounding into our animal existence. I am shape-shifting now, as you can see. Shout out to my dear friend Faye for this divine blessing of warmth and protection. It's freezing where I am right now, and I am completely warm. And this precious animals, oh my God, I burned it a little bit on the propane heater. Oh my God. This precious animal's protection that has been shared with me. So when I heard him say that, I got it. I recognized it in the relationship that I have with astrology, and it is part of what is coming forth in me right now that I'm wanting to be sharing as I speak to you, teach you in part, transmit around these times of intensity, the new and the full moons. And the relationship that I have to astrology is unique, very unique. And every single astrologer has a different take and a uniqueness that makes them particularly valuable to those that they resonate with. But mine is so different. It has been challenging to really validate and to feel validated in this. But I did not purchase an astrology book for the first 10 years of studying astrology. I did not take a class. I had no teacher. That's not entirely true, because I had Steve Judd and Rick Levine and what they share through video, and I learned a lot from them. But it was really 5 years before I even started doing that. I just looked at charts and I looked at the sky and I drew it and I painted it. and I felt it in my body. And so now that I am learning these constructs, I'm learning ancient traditional systems, and this means that, and we can track it through this, through time and see certain things have repeated with certain patterns over and over and over. And we can look at that, we can memorize it, we can see it play out around us, we can see it play out in our lives. And it's not that I'm saying not that, this instead. I'm saying yes, that, and there is a living relationship to be had with the sky. We're not doing this in language. We have to remember that, because in the way that we interact as astrologers and students of the sky is through language, but the language is a tool. It's the go-between. It's like the priest and the layperson that cannot talk directly to God but must go through the priest. And I'm not talking about astrologers, I'm talking about all of us. And this feeling that we have to go through language, like language as the priest. That's the metaphor I'm drawing here. Language as the priest. That we have to go through language in order to connect with God, in order to connect with the movement of the planets, which in my worldview and in my heart and my experience, I perceive as God, how God speaks to me. And that's why this metaphor as the priest really works. And so for a decade of me studying astrology, and you can ask my friends and anyone who knew me, I would get really excited about whatever was happening astrologically and whatever someone was telling me, and I'd look at their chart and oh my God, and they're like, okay, tell me, what does it mean? And I'm like, what do you mean, what does it mean? Like, it's ridiculous. I can look back and see how ridiculous it was, but it's just that I was so deep in this wordless gnosis of understanding in my body what it meant, because I would go out and look at the moon, I would go out and look at Jupiter, and I would feel how they danced around each other throughout the month and all of the visible planets. And then I would just look at the charts and I would see the patterns and I would feel the patterns. And so then when I started learning astrology from a paradigm, from a system, that I had a feeling of it, so I've never gotten caught in like, this can only mean this. I have never been a prey to the idea, which is something as Westerners we have to be so very careful of. To give our lives, to give our agency away to somebody else's definition, to an external explanation. You can go out and observe the sky for yourself and take in that language. So it's cool that I'm talking about this right now on the edge of a Gemini full moon. This that I'm saying is all about language, and Jupiter is in Gemini, and we're going to see Jupiter and the moon together, and Jupiter is estranged in Gemini. Jupiter's in detriment. Jupiter is as far away from home as Jupiter gets, and Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces as well as Sagittarius. Sagittarius is opposite Gemini, and that's what we're seeing in this moon, right? Gemini, Sagittarius, but also Pisces. And that's that expansiveness, that place that I was in where I couldn't word it. I don't have any placements in Gemini, well, except my part of fortune. But I couldn't word it. My Mercury is in Pisces. I couldn't word it. I was just trying to, and I am learning how to use my words to show others how to have a living relationship with the divine through the system of astrology. So we can hate on religious systems and faith systems all day long, but what a mystic is someone who has apprehended the structure of that system as a ladder and climbed it up into divine presence, and then can know God. This human body can stand in the presence of that fire. But in order to apprehend a religious system, you have to sign on the dotted line. You have to agree to the dogma. And we can do this with anything. There's dogma in science. There is dogma in astrology. But there's a purity to these forms wherein we can... This is phenomenal. This is observable. This is that all that exists, us and the planets, and the tea leaves that you may be reading, the entrails, the wafts of smoke, the tarot cards, the calm, quiet, still voice that you hear in your own head when you pray. All of this is God. God exists as all of us. My teacher, Carolyn Lovewell, said that. I don't know if that's an exact quote. I think it is. So what I want to say about this moon is your mission, if you choose to accept it, the night before the full moon and tonight. Okay, so I'm a couple days out. I'm not going to actually get this posted until probably tomorrow. But anyway, several days before the moon, but especially the night before the full moon, go out and you can observe what all of the other astrologers are talking about and feel it for yourself. So I have this set for 7:06 p.m., night before the full moon, which is Saturday, the 14th of December. So, okay, so planets, the sun, the moon, and all of the planets rise in the east, arc overhead, set in the west. That is the ascendant and the descendant. So the ascendant is the eastern point of the sky. This is where the planets rise. They go overhead, that's the midheaven. And they sink down on this side of the horizon, opposite the rising point, that's the descendant. And then they, boop, excuse me, I don't know if the camera caught my burp. And then they go underneath us. So on the night of the full moon, it's like, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 hours before the full moon, the moon will rise in the east as the sun sets in the west. And as you see the moon rise, the moon will be with Jupiter in the east. You follow that arc. Now, this is not directly overhead right now at this time of the year. This is going to be, and it depends on where you are. So you might not get this the first night. We're going to work on this class. But it's not directly overhead. It's out. It's like, I'm going to work on these drawings too. I'm going to have another drawing that I can pick and show you how this arc works. But it's not directly overhead. It's going to be out a ways. You'll see the moon and Jupiter. You will see Venus. Saturn's the tricky one. Saturn's closer to Venus than it is to Jupiter. So Saturn, if you're looking west and you see where the sun set and then you see the diamond in the sky, you know that's Venus. See if you can, a lot of times you can feel that it's a planet. Even if, like, Saturn is so far away. It's much larger than Venus, but it is so far away that it looks like a star. It's easy to miss, especially when there's ambient light. But see if you can spot Saturn in arc formation from between Venus and Jupiter and the moon. So you will be able to spot Jupiter and the moon. You will be able to spot Venus. And then remember where the sun rose and where it set, and that's going to help you create that full arc. And then look in between them and find the star that is not twinkling. It's closer to Venus than it is to Jupiter. See if you can feel it as Saturn. Saturn is a heavyweight. So you can feel Saturn. See if you can feel Saturn. We're going to be doing this regularly. If you're following my channel, we're going to be doing sky watching regularly, because this is a guardianship. Knowing which way is north is a guardianship. Knowing the planets in the sky and their mechanics, where they are moving and why. These are trackable, discernible patterns, and we have lost this art, even as astrologers, even as astronomers. We cannot point to these planets and say which is which, where they came from and where they're going, and this orients us. We are moreless and getting more moreless. You know, things are not going to get more clear. The level of the blending of the imagination with reality in this moment in time, the transition that we are moving through, that we are experiencing, we must ground as creatures in our bodies in this place. And this brings a level of peace, a level of confidence, a level of centeredness and moving through your day and moving through your life, a level of peace to your mind. You know, it can be dangerous in the beginning, especially getting into astrology. And so many people are saying so many different things, and we are taught to go to those with wisdom and ask them what to do. And that is incorrect. This is where the answers lie. And we can orient our inner compass to the movements of the planets to help us tune in and know what is true. Even if everything, absolutely everything, is saying something completely different, completely opposite. The guardianships are the places we can go to have our feet on solid ground. So this is a file that you can sign up to my mailing list for and download. And I'm going to be talking about this every video that I make forthcoming for quite a while, because what I am offering, who I am and what I bring to the world is through making the connection from your hands, from your brain, because we can't annex our brain. We just are learning how to not let our brain be in the driver's seat. So to connect the brain to the cosmos through the hands bring this intellectual experience of astrology down through the throat chakra, down through the heart, down this channel, through the lungs, down through the arms, like this really important part of the body, down through the heart, and then out the hands. And working with the sky in this way, going out and observing it, and then working with charts. You can download this. You can make as many copies as you want. You can make mistakes. You can crumple it up, throw it away, and just keep working with it. You can do your natal chart, all the people that you know, but then a moon is coming, and you want to look at that chart. You want to meditate on the chart of the full moon in 3 days, but you don't want to be sitting in front of a screen every time you're in this meditation to tune into the energy. You've gone outside, you've connected with the sky, the planets that you can see, you have imagined the planets that you can't see, and then you want to go back inside and look at the chart, and you have to pull up your phone. Like that that just jerks you out of that centered place. You get distracted by social media. You get distracted by your emails. Someone has sent you a text. But you've got to go to your phone because you've got to see the chart. This way, you don't have to go to your phone. This is so, so, so important. So this is what we're going to be working with. This is language beyond language. This is the language behind English. This is the language behind our words. These are the unspoken words, the unspoken thoughts, the dance we're all dancing, the feelings we're all feeling. You get to decide what it means. You get to decide what it means. The weatherman can tell you that it's raining, and there's not a damn thing that you can do about the rain. But you get to decide how you feel about the rain. You get to decide if you think the rain is a blessed event to bring forth the harvest and abundance of earth, or if it's an inconvenience to make you cold and wet and miserable. You get to decide. That is your hermeneutic choice. Happy full moon. Thank you for listening. I love each and every one of you. I'm excited about this journey, this Gemini, Sagittarius, full moon kickoff journey that we're on, wording the wordless, dancing through the movement of the planets, the stars around us, with each other, with ourselves. Blessings, friends. Until next time, thank you.